Last time on Dragon Ball Z, Big Green and company narrowly escaped attending the most recent Tupac concert after Boo 2.0 decided that just like his launch Xbox 360, he had enough of playing games and wanted to see the warrior that was supposed to butter his toast this instant. Using Vidal's name as a desperation tactic, Green bought Sanford and Son the slightest bit of time before their rematch with the putrefying pink pugilist. But there was another on the lookout whom decided that it wasn't just Gotenks that was in for a boxing match. Chi-Chi stepped up chest outstretched, wanting all the smoke, wondering what gave this palooka the right to atomize her oldest meal ticket. Boo, not much for small talk, cut right to the chase, calling Chi-Chi a real snag, but definitely not the kind she wanted, as he showcased to the brave fighter, wife, and mother that her hard-boiled antics would not be going over easy. It wasn't long after this that the limits of Boo's patience were reached, and he demanded to throw hands or he'd be throwing the whole planet off axis. With his choices narrowed, Piccolo led the chaotic menace to the time chamber, where after a colorful introduction, the boys fused and began their assault on Boo's newest transformation. The atmosphere in the already dense chamber changed very quickly though, as Boo 2.0 shrugged off the fused fighter's offensive like he was married to Beyonce and decided that it was his turn next. Wait a second, Boo, hold up. I was just toying with you. Now, let's see what you do when Gotenks goes full try-hard mode. And go full try-hard mode he did. Unfortunately, nobody on Gotenks' team told him that you never go full tokusatsu mode, because he went back on the offensive and every single one of the punches and kicks this waste man threw was named just like he was being added to the Street Fighter roster.
Helicopter!
But he was going through the whole shonen anime archive, begging, pleading for one of these moves to work out. Dempsey Roll, Getsuka Tensho, Delaware Smash, Rasengan, but no anime god he called upon heard his cries. Boo, already an impatient man, was beginning to lose it further and found himself reflexively swatting the kid away like you do a gnat that's been bugging in your ear too long. This sent the Z-Squad's #1 palooka bouncing away across that hard-ass chamber concrete, rubbing his face with tears in his eyes hoping the pain would go away. And Piccolo's secondhand embarrassment and loss of hope in seeing this led to one of my favorite character moments in the series where Green just looks into the air and face palms. I can only imagine the shame not only at the poor performance of the boys, but also the fact that they all let circumstances get so out of hand that these two were their only hope. That green bastard made me waste all my time for this? Boo boy, I'm going to kill you now. Whoa there, thinking highly of yourself much? I'm getting real sick of that fat pink mouth of yours. Maybe it's time to shut it up. In the most flamboyant of methods, Gotenks turned Super Saiyan, bringing Piccolo just the slightest bit out of his existential apathy upon realizing that the kids could transform even while fused. Alright, I guess we'll end you now. Only problem is, I have so many sick special moves in my pocket, which one should I use? Oh, I know, this one's badass. Only problem is my one-shot this goober. Ah, the hell with it, only Green's in here anyway. Nobody else even in the sauna worth flexing to. Side note, Gotenks is so disrespectful. This fella is really treating this man Majin Buu like an NPC. But he went straight to single player on the main menu and didn't even think to give the guy next to him a controller. Boo sitting there absolutely cheesed at the sheer lack of table manners from present company. But fam didn't have long to stay cheesing because Gotenks was sending a donut his way, a galactic donut to be precise. Boo stood morbidly curious as the brat across from him used his ki to form a hula hoop. In seconds, the hula hoop expanded around him, then as the kid brought his arms together, the loop contracted, appearing to crush Boo 2.0 from the outside in. The villain began to wail in agony, mouth outstretched as far as his jaws would allow. Gotenks couldn't help but smirk, thinking to himself that he told this asshole he made the biggest mistake of his life rolling up in here without backup. But just as it appeared the turns were tabling, Boo abruptly stopped his wailing, looked Gotenks directly in the eye, and after one breath hit the LeBron James Gatorade commercial pose and sent the boys' technique back to dunking. Bro, a couple things to note here. Before going back to the series, I low-key forgot about this moment, and it made me realize that Gotenks versus Super Boo is legit just a battle of the assholes. Even more important than smoking the other to each of these goons is to make sure their style meters as high as possible while they're doing it. Both of these bums out here trying to catch a S rank like it's Devil May Cry in these streets, instead of just putting each other in a pack and calling it. I'd be completely lying if I said it wasn't funny as hell though. And the other thing is just watching this whole ass mess with Boo unfold makes me wish Toriyama Sensei would have just gone as wild with ki attacks and their function as he did in these mid to late moments in the Boo arc. Gotenks is top tier at this point of the series when it comes to unconventional use of ki. Vegito ends up manipulating his energy into a whole ass blade. It's so interesting to see and makes me wonder what else he could have come up with if he really went all in on the idea and went wild with it. I could see it being something akin to like the Nen system in Hunter x Hunter where people's powers manifest differently depending on their character. Maybe stuff like how they were trained and junk like that. Just a thought that bubbled up again peeping this scrap on the rewatch. But rest assured, I wasn't the only one that was peeping, because the moment Boo destroyed Gotenks' donut, he zoomed directly into the kid's face and jump scared the hell out of him, preparing to discombobulate him on some Sherlock's home timing before going Hank Hill mode and literally kicking his ass 50 feet in the air before ping-ponging the kid all over the place. As Boo prepared to chase him down for a world-class wonton bomb, Gotenks engaged his Goten genetics and met the fella head for head, no puffy, caving both their heads in and committing to the idea that if I can't beat this douchebag normally, we both coming out of here with CTE. Doing his best to pretend the head-to-head clash wasn't the single most painful physical experience of his life, Gotenks held on to the goose egg forming at the top of his dome piece and flipped Boo the bird, telling him that it's been fun, but it's time for him to get a taste of his level 3 and finish this thing up. Once again, Gotenks geared up with his best tribute to the homie Chadwick Boseman, rest in peace to the GOAT, and he hit the Wakanda forever, but what came after was far more traumatic. You know you're doing something extremely out of pocket when you can get this man Majin Buu to stare at you like this. This fella Gotenks began taking in a big fat breath, and as he exhaled, a white mass of Ayo proportions started to dribble out the side of his lips and take shape. Then a few moments later, this amorphous sperm blob manifests and starts talking, just hanging out like, yo, I'm a ghost. Like that's something completely normal and regular just to do. In quiet moments, I sometimes just sit there and ponder like, just how the hell did this fella Gotenks come up with this super ghost Harry Carry attack? Like what even is this? Is this key mixed with like saliva and a claymore hidden in the back? And why do they seem sentient? Man out here making shadow clones about to turn the whole timeline upside down. And everyone in attendance appeared just as shook as I was, but for once, Gotenks didn't allow himself to lose the element of surprise and actually used it to his advantage, sending Gotenks the friendly ghost on a beeline to the target. Majin Buu was even smiling as he cocked his arm back, almost offended that Gotenks would send such a piece of light work after him. But to his shock, when he hit the backhand on the ectoplasm, he could feel something wasn't quite right, but the cogs were in motion and it was too late. The ghost exploded as the fused fighter showed him exactly where the kamikaze part of the name came into play. In the aftermath of the explosion, Boo emerged looking like he was cosplaying that one Van Gogh painting where the dude has his hands on his face, looking like he just walked into a room and saw his mom getting piped down. And here we should have a climax, right? Gotenks presses his advantage, launching a finisher off on the critically injured Boo, who has yet to regenerate following Gotenks' surprise unorthodox assault. Of course not, right? Who would Gotenks be if he didn't take a few crucial seconds to glaze himself up real fast for the job well done and emote for the non-existent camera while Boo re-encrypts his encryption? You dumbass, get in there and finish your damn plate before he regenerates and cooks your ass up again. Jeez, I already know Piccolo, you don't gotta scream about it. Man, can't tell if this guy's name is Big Green or Bitch Green sometimes. Alright, Ghost, time for the finale. 10 Ghost Jumpman Squad, assemble! Gotenks cried out as a seeming army of the hellacious gremlins made their way out of his mouth and onto the time chamber floor. The ghost seemed to be as disobedient and lacking in discipline as him, with it taking Gotenks summoning every ounce of his Piccolo energy to polish the poltergeist up and prepare for the big offensive. This man was really out here manifesting his inner demons and playing boot camp while Big Green was watching on the side, trying to make out just how his life had become this big of a joke. Hey Gotenks, if you're done, how about you have a quick look over at Majin Buu? He's still here, by the way. Then they look over to find this fella Majin Buu chilling on his little tum-tum, booty cheeks tooted back and his legs dangling in the air crossed like a teenage girl talking to her boyfriend on the phone in films from the 90s, fully loaded with a nice little lemonade and reading the latest issue of Transformers. This man was fully comfortable, and as y'all can imagine, this had young Gotenks pressed beyond belief. Little homie's eyes started twitching as he prepared to have that place looking like Chernobyl in the next 15 seconds. Gotenks hollered out to Boo to let him know that it was time for the explosive finish. Boo barely looked up from his Capri Sun as the ghost started geeking and made haste towards his pajama bottoms expeditiously. Boo hopped into the air and let the ghost bump uglies, leading to a massive explosion and Boo looking down on Gotenks talking all types of crazy as he showcased to him that he's not the type of villain to take an L to the same technique twice. Hey, get in here, Ghost, and huddle up. Look, I'm gonna need each one of y'all little pale asses to lock in, cause he got us out here looking kind of crazy right now, and I'm not with it. I refuse to lose a 20v1. I am not Drake. The ghost sat there briefly for a moment and nodded. They knew that the big homie was spitting facts, and that is true. If they were about to give up the ghost, they were gonna make sure Boo did the same. Then in another moment of pure comedy, two of the ghosts were really feeling the Coach Carter speech and dapped each other up, leading to a massive explosion that almost smoked Gotenks himself along with the whole crew. I know big homie Toriyama Sensei was in the studio dying when he storyboarded that one, because who even thinks of that? After coming out the trenches looking like he was on the losing side of the beaches of Normandy, Gotenks assembled the crew and sent the whole squad except for one on a direct assault to Boo's location. Like before, Boo was expecting the ghost to commit to a full frontal assault because now he realized the opponent he was up against wasn't exactly working with a full deck. But weirdly enough, before the ghost could get in the distance to get washed, they all seemed to be huddling by a little spot on the ground. their attention being stolen by something apparently more important than the eons old eldritch horror now standing in front of them, looking to exercise them like Luigi be doing them ghosts in the mansion. Yeah, bro, you ever seen anything like that? Nah, man, I see cake, but like this is cake. Boo like cake? What are you looking at? The trap had been set. Hook, line, and sinker. Boo's childhood curiosity got the better of him, but there in fact was no delicious cake to observe or enjoy. The crafty tiny technician took advantage of Boo and had him in prime position to take a full ride scholarship to Acme University. In a blinding and fantastic display of explosive carnage, the better part of the Kamikaze squadron took their leave, but this time Majin Buu was definitely feeling the hurt. Man was out here screaming in agony and shuffling around the time chamber like SpongeBob when dude's out of water. Would have been absolutely tragic if it wasn't so funny. Then while Boo was dealing with this deep vein thrombosis and unable to regenerate, Gotenks sent the final ghost and blew the villain's socks off, quite sure that the nightmare was finally over. Back on planet Kai, Goku was finishing up his nap when he started thinking out loud on how some reason he couldn't sense Majin Buu's energy anymore. But on the other hand, he couldn't sense Goten or Trunks either. Something extra fishy was happening on Earth, and it was killing him, no pun intended, to know what the situation was like. They're in another dimension. Oh, I can't say exactly, but time flows strangely there, and I'm pretty sure it's against several cosmic laws. Wow, man, the room is spirited time. How'd you know that? I wonder, did Boo barge in on them while they were on the grind? No, the Namek you so tactfully called Big Green led them to the location. For what reason, though, I'm not entirely sure. Wow, Kai, you turned out to be way more amazing than I ever would have guessed. Your ability to detect energy is insane, and because of you, Gohan's now stronger than he's ever been. Guess this is what happens when you get a real Kai on your side rather than whatever the hell Kaioshin is, huh? Man, I cannot even tell y'all how happy it made me to see Goku canonically get in on the Kaioshin slander. This fella deserves it. I'll be firing off strays on his sad little white mullet every chance I get for the remainder of my pathetic little Ningen life. And speaking of disappointments, we return to the home of the Ningen community, where Piccolo has Goten going around like a prisoner doing roadside community service, blasting every single Boo bit he sees scattered on Popo's spotless chamber floor, refusing to have a Botchamania level repeat of what happened during the prince's sacrifice back outside. As Gotenks shot the last of the remains, he low-key got a little depressed, upset at the fact that he wasn't able to bust out his top secret one-of-a-kind in case of emergency secret move. Well, kid, I gotta admit, as much time as you spent disappointing me the last few days, you pulled it together when it mattered most, which is more than I can say of your fathers. Yeah, I guess in the end, Boo wasn't that tough after all. It's pretty rough being the absolute best at everything you do, you know? Before Green could give the Fusion a fat taste of humble pie, they were instead treated to a reality check themselves as the ashes that were dissipating into the air from their double tap session began to converge into a massive ball in the air. As much as they hated to admit it, they both knew what this meant. Before they could speak the curse into existence like Candyman, the regeneration had already taken place. Majin Buu, the electric boogaloo, was back, and this time, he was pissed. Shit. Hey kid, for the love of my other half, please tell me you got something left in the tank. Can you pull off that ghost move again, or what about the other special moves you were blabbering about earlier that you were so excited to try? Gotenks smirked because he knew he still had a pretty massive ace up his sleeve. But ever the showman, he decided that would be far more entertaining to let Green sweat a little more in his paper bag 11s before revealing his trump card. Oh no, Piccolo, I'm all out of energy. I hate to say it, but the Earth's cooked, doomed even. Piccolo was ready to lose his lunch. There was no time to mourn because Boo came back to play, and this time he would be taking the initiative. Boo decided that in order to begin his meal prep, the first thing any respectable chef does is tenderize the meat. He grabbed Goten by the leg and proceeded to give this fella the Tom and Jerry treatment. We're talking Fred Flintstone, Looney Tunes era Hanna-Barbera antics. Just slamming his kid's face all over the ground to the point where hearing his skull cracking against the pavement went from sickening to damn near comical. After he got bored of it, he brought the little fella closer to allow the sound of Gotenks' agony and despair to ring in his ears like the newest Pink Panther single. That's why your mom's still a hoe. Boo was so done. Even in the middle of being beaten to death, this little asshole just could not shut up and throw in the towel. Boo gave Gotenks a big heaping helping plate of welcome to the family, son, as he watched the dude's head bounce a good 30 meters before springing back into action. Through gritted and missing teeth, Gotenks decided that now was finally time to put Plan C into action. And as he prepared to finally take this thing seriously, a massive explosion could be heard echoing from the front section of the chamber, leaving both Boo and Gotenks wondering what just happened. As the smoke cleared, Green could be seen with his arms outstretched. There, it's finally done. The door I just smoked was the only passage between the chamber and the real world. Sorry, amigo. I don't care how strong you are. You're now stuck in what you might call an everlasting fade. Pull up a chair and get comfy. We're gonna be here for a minute. And here, with Boo's disbelief and Gotenks' utter panic, is where we'll call it. Tune in next time as Boo and company finally begin to take in the gravity of the situation. How would Piccolo and Gotenks fare being locked in an infinite void with Majin Buu, the destroyer of worlds? Perhaps an even more pressing question is how will Boo react finally being backed into a corner that even his outrageous amount of power couldn't fix? Only one way to find out. Be easy, y'all, and catch you again in the next.
Hello, how are you? I am under the water. Please help me. Here too much raining.